All right, boys, I got a question for you here. You ready for this? Ready for quiz time? All right, so girls, you can answer in here too. I really like the fall. You know, like autumn, the season that we're in right now. Do you know why I like it? Do you know what's coming up in 2 days? What's coming up in 2 days? Are you going to do anything on Monday night? Yeah, she is. You're doing something on Monday night. Are any of you going to be getting dressed up on Monday night? All right, you're getting dressed up. Why are you getting dressed up on Monday night? Yeah. Bad time to ask a question. Are you getting dressed up on Monday night? You're dressed up right now too, but why are you getting dressed up on Monday night? Because you are. That's right. And because it's Halloween. Halloween is one of the reasons why I like the fall. It's one of the only times of the year when we legitimately are expected to eat more chocolate than we can handle. I also like the fall because it is dreary, and that just makes me happy for whatever odd reason. I'm not quite sure. The falling temperatures are very nice. I think it has something to do with knowing that my seasonal allergies are finally coming to an end. But I also enjoy the fall because it reminds me a lot of cross-country season. Now, I know normally when people look at me, the first thing that they think is, yeah, that guy was a cross-country runner. It's normal. I expect that. Actually, I was a cross-country runner, and my mom, one day when I was coming home from a workout, she said, you know, when your older brothers run, they're so graceful and gazelle-like, and you kind of look like a train. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that. But it kind of works, actually, to talk about cross-country right now, because I'm aware that the girls here have done quite well this season on their way to the state meet. So a week from today, they'll be in Northfield running one last cross-country meet for the year. But it kind of reminds me of what my last 2 years of cross-country were like. My junior year of cross-country, we had a good team. And we had a really good team. We won the section meet, and we were very excited about what was going to happen at the state meet. Well, when we got to the state meet, we fell apart. We didn't do very well. We did far worse than we expected. And at the end of the meet, something happened that really left an impression on me. Our coach pulled us all aside. You know, pulled us away from our parents, pulled us away from all of the other athletes. He pulled us aside, and he apologized to us. He actually apologized to us, and he said that, you know, I need to apologize to you because I did not prepare you for state. I prepared you for sections, but not for state. And so he realized in his own training, in the way that he was training us, that he kind of put us into a box. He kind of figured, this is the way that you train people to run. And he had this idea in his head without really thinking about who it is that we were. And so when he came to us and apologized for not preparing us in the way that we needed it, it really left an impression on me. And in fact, what ended up happening the next season, we had the exact same varsity. All 7 runners were back again. And instead of falling apart at the end of the season, we got to sections. We took second place at sections. And we were all miserable then because we thought we should have won. And our coach pulled us aside again. He said, remember last year? I did not train you for sections this year. I trained you for state. And so the next week, we got to state, and our team ended up taking second place. And we remembered that. But I was so impressed by our coach that he was able to realize that he had kind of put his training program and he had put us into a box, thinking that it has to be the same every time. And it kind of got me thinking about how much we do that to others. I mean, here you have Zacchaeus. He's a short man, so like the kids up front here, they're standing on the pews so that they can see what's going on. They want to have a visual of what's happening. Zacchaeus, he goes up in this tree, and Jesus says, I want to eat at your house. And everyone has already put Zacchaeus into a box. Everyone has already said, he's a sinner. Don't you realize who this man is? And Jesus says, yes, he is a son of Abraham, just like all of you. And today, I must eat at his house. Jesus is able to take us out of our boxes. I mean, first of all, it's impressive that Zacchaeus even was willing to stand up in that tree and see Jesus and respond to Jesus because he knew how everybody looked at him. You know, it's kind of like if Canada took over Minnesota and asked one of you to be responsible for filling in all the lakes here. Other people would not be very happy with you. And yet Jesus looked at Zacchaeus and wanted to have dinner with him. It can be so easy for us to look at other people and start to put people in boxes because of what we know about them or what we think we know about them. But even more than that, it can be very easy to put ourselves into boxes. It can be very easy to look at ourselves and say, this is what I am capable of, especially when it comes to living out our faith. When we look at our own faith, it can be so easy for us to say, well, I'm not like this person and I'm not like that person. I'm not like St. Teresa. I'm not like St. John Paul II. No, you're not. But you know what else? They're not like you. We can put ourselves into these boxes where we start to limit ourselves. We start to limit what it is that we think that we are capable of. And yet Jesus keeps coming to us. Jesus says, every time we celebrate the Eucharist, I must eat at your house today. Jesus comes into this house. He enters into our homes in so many different ways. He wants to be with us. And as Jesus enters into our lives, I think a question that we can ask ourselves is, do we do what St. Paul encouraged us to do in the second reading? Do we want to powerfully bring to fulfillment every good purpose? Do we really want that? Or do we just say, all right, Jesus, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we'll be happy. We'll be able to get along together. But that's not Jesus' desire. Jesus' desire is to powerfully enter into our lives, to bring to fulfillment every good that he wants for each and every one of us. And ultimately, the good that he wants for us is to be with him in heaven. The good that he wants for us is to be holy, to be saints. The good that Jesus wants for us is to be happy, to be filled with joy, to experience fullness in this life. Jesus comes so that all of those things can come true. But when we place ourselves in our little boxes, we can prevent the fulfillment of God's good work in our lives. I mean, just think about what it means to be holy. Or maybe think about who it is that can be holy. A lot of times we start to put categories on what sort of people are really able to be holy. That they get these special gifts from God to go above and beyond everybody else. Well, there's actually some reality to that. The saints do have special gifts that help them to go above and beyond. The first gift is what we're celebrating here today with Liam. It's baptism. It takes us out of our box of original sin, and it brings us into the family of God. The saints have special gifts that are given to them in the Eucharist, in the body and blood of Christ. The saints have special gifts that are given to them in their prayer, in the time that they spend with God, but all of these special gifts, they're things that we have access to as well. And our challenge is to open up that box. Because when we do, we realize it's not actually a box at all. It's maybe more like Pandora's box, where we open up and so much comes out of it. So much enters into our lives. Jesus came so that he can powerfully bring to fulfillment every good work in us. Do we believe that? Do you believe that? Time for peekaboo, isn't it? But Jesus wants to bring every good purpose to fulfillment in our lives. Our challenge is to let him do that. And it happens when we do things like what my cross-country coach did in high school. He realized the limitations that he had placed on us, and he changed. He changed so that we could change. And the difference between my junior and my senior year of cross-country, I don't think it was really a matter of effort at all. I mean, we worked our tails off my junior year. I don't think we actually even worked that much harder my senior year. That wasn't the change that pushed us over the edge. The change was being open to a new way our coach wanted to work in our lives. The same thing can happen with our faith. When we become open to the new ways that God wants to work in our lives, even if that means moving us out of our comfort zones, calling us into a life that is really immersed in prayer. And when we get immersed in prayer, that doesn't mean we become like monks or hermits or nuns that pray all day. But it means that we allow God into every moment of our lives. Because God doesn't want us to separate ourselves out. God wants to be a part of everything that we are. If we can have that openness, if we can have that much trust to let Jesus in, then what's going to happen is he's going to come to our homes. He is going to enter in, and we might act like Zacchaeus. We might respond like him and say, all right, this is what I am going to do. I'm going to change my life. If we're willing to do that, if we're willing to change our lives, what Jesus desires for us, we're not going to be disappointed. We're not going to be left out in the cold. But Jesus will bring to fulfillment every good purpose. That good purpose starts in baptism. It starts in that first gift that we have all received. Permit God, allow God, invite God to continue to transform you, to continue to reach into your life and pull you out of the box that you may have been put into, to pull you out of the box that you may have put yourself into. Then we can start to see, bit by bit, little by little, just how good this life with Christ can be.